Okay, so here we are live once again with another Masters of the Universe Origins unboxing, and this is from the cartoon collection. It is the 2000X He-Man and the Masters of the Universe Tri-Klops, evil and sees everything. Can you see how these knee pads stay on? They're very odd looking knee pads. So we got the typical 2000X cartoon collection packaging with the red sky background, Castle Grayskull looming behind Tri-Klops. And here's what the back looks like with Tri-Klops surveying the scenery. Got back here in the background, we got Cyclone and He-Man himself and all these creatures here. I forget what these creatures were, but yeah, he's just kind of got these knee pads just kind of bolted onto his knees. I'm not sure what the purpose is, as seen on Roboto's Gambit. And then the cross-sell artwork. This was the first wave of cartoon collection figures, which just started to show up at my Walmart. But I've had this guy for a while. I got this guy when he was marked down on Amazon. Him and Stratos and Man-at-Arms. And I forget what the other figure was, like Mossman. So I got all of those for like $15 a piece or less. So that was a good deal, if I do say so myself. Al Davis is here and says, "Evening, Alan. Hope you're doing well." Well, I am doing just fine and dandy right now. So as I said on the previous episode, when we opened up Evelyn, I figured it would be appropriate to open Tri-Klops next. So I was trying to figure out which one to open and just kind of said, well, you know, Tri-Klops tended to work with Evelyn a lot on the Filmation cartoon. I don't know if she worked with them a particular amount on the 2000X. I don't remember. But I still kind of associate those two characters in my mind. So why not open up Tri-Klops? And it's a good thing that I did, because I just so happened while I was went to Walmart to pick up some groceries, looked at the toy aisle, and look what I found. Yeah, it's the 2025 movie Masters of the Universe Chronicles Tri-Klops figure. And I decided he's going to be the figure that I'm going to open on the next episode. I got hair in my mouth. Yeah, it happens more often than I would like. I mean, my mouth is surrounded by hair. What do you expect? So, so yeah, I do feel like overall that the 2026 movie has a very palpable 2000X aesthetic to it, and you can see that that's definitely the case with Tri-Klops. So I thought it would be fun to compare these two figures. So that's going to be what I'm going to do on the next episode. So if you want to make sure you don't miss that one, make sure you like and subscribe and all that fun YouTube stuff down below. That having been said, let's get started. Anthony Jameson is here and says, recently I got the Masters of the Universe Chronicles He-Man figure today. I'm going to get the next figure I'm going to get is Man-at-Arms. Yeah, I like that Man-at-Arms figure. And honestly, if I'm being real, if they had Man-at-Arms at Walmart today, I probably would have bought him instead of Tri-Klops. But they only had Tri-Klops and He-Man left, and obviously I already had He-Man. I already opened him on this channel, so you've already seen me open the He-Man figure. But yeah, I was wanted to open all these 2000X figures leading up to the release of the new movie, because I feel like, you know, there is a lot of kinship visually between them. I mean, hell, I got we can see right here the 2000X He-Man right next to the movie He-Man, and you can see how these two visually are kind of akin to each other. And Tri-Klops, I think, in a lot of ways might be even more similar, at least as far as comparing unique versions of the character. Anyway, let's go ahead and open them up. There's no bio on the back really to speak of. It just says what episode that you see him in. This is a really nice picture of Tri-Klops. Al Davis says, very well prepared, sir. Well, I wish I could say that. It's just that, like, I've just got stuff piling up over here. So I've got plenty of stuff over here that, like, from previous, you know, like I had all the, you know, the Chronicles He-Man and the Origins He-Man, and I did have over here the core He-Man figure, because I was comparing all these movie figures, and I think I took the core He-Man figure over to the other side of the room for some reason. But yeah, just had and the 2000X He-Man. I wanted to have a look at compare him. If I'd have thought about it, I'd have got the regular Origins 2000X He-Man. I should probably call that something else, like the toy 2000X He-Man. I don't know what to call it. Anthony James says, I actually saw that cartoon when it premiered in 2002. Good times. Wish that the cartoon got more seasons and more loved. That was my version of He-Man. Well, I got to tell you, a lot of people consider that to be the best He-Man animated series. Like, I think probably the Filmation one is the number one for probably most people, because that was the one we grew up with in the 80s. When He-Man was in its heyday in the 80s, that was what we had. But I will say that I kind of feel like that yeah, the 2000X is actually superior to that original cartoon in a lot of ways. And I think that a lot of why you're gonna love that is kind of what Mary Martin said about Peter Pan, which is that the first Peter Pan you ever see is the real one, and all the rest are imposters. Well, I kind of feel it like that extends to a lot of other characters and things in popular culture. And for a lot of people, and I'm not actually one of those people. For a lot of people, like the Filmation He-Man cartoon is just like the beginning and the end, the alpha and omega. Like it's just everything. Like they don't need to make anything else of He-Man. They already made that Filmation cartoon, and that's perfect, and that's all I want. And I do not agree with that because I actually had these action figures before the Filmation cartoon. I had them when they first came out, and I read the mini comics. So my version of He-Man, how I always played it, was based on those mini comics. And even though I enjoyed the Filmation cartoon very much so, it didn't really change my play patterns, and I kept playing with them the same way that that I played with them before. But like I said, I did like the Filmation cartoon. I enjoyed it. But it just didn't kind of overtake anything in my head. And then later on, when 2000X came out, I thought that cartoon was awesome. And I'll say this: I think the biggest problem with 2000X was nothing to do with the quality of the program. The writing was great, the animation was great. I think most people would agree with me when I say that is one of the better versions of He-Man. Even if it's not your absolute favorite, it'd probably be like in your top 3 if you were going to really sit down and think about it as far as what your favorite versions of He-Man are. I would say that like for a lot of people, it would probably be at least the second favorite, if not the most favorite. But that having been said, like I think the main problem with 2000X was the way that it was scheduled, and that Cartoon Network at the time, they weren't really prioritizing it. Like they had their own things that they were prioritizing. And unfortunately, Masters of the Universe was not one of them. I think that a lot of the DC superhero cartoons that they had kind of suffered the same fate. That is my theory about that. Because like Justice League Unlimited had kind of the same problem going on with it as far as the scheduling goes, and Batman the Brave and the Bold and all that kind of stuff. What are you saying? Al Davis says, well, 3 kids plunged their deaths after jumping out a window at the attic bedroom of the London townhouse, and the whole Neverland bit is their dying fantasy death throes. Really? Well, I mean, I guess you could read it that way, I suppose. I kind of read it as a metaphor for being at the cusp of adulthood and not wanting to give up being a child just yet, and trying to hold on to what you can of your childhood while at the same time embracing your adulthood. That's kind of what I feel like that story was about. Think about this. Wendy is supposed to leave the nursery, and that's supposed to be like this big traumatic thing for everybody. They don't want Wendy to leave the nursery. But why is Wendy leaving the nursery? It's because she's about to become a woman. Like, to put it a little bit less delicately, she's about to get her first visit from her Aunt Flo. She's getting to that age. She's going to need to be in her own room away from those boys. That's just how that's going to have to be, because she's going to have to, she's growing into a young woman, and she's going to have to be dealing with that sort of thing. and she's not really emotionally ready to give up on her childhood yet either. She's kind of like Britney Spears says, she's not a girl and not yet a woman. She's in that kind of place. So Peter Pan shows up and he's like, hey, you can come away with me to this land where you'll never have to grow up and it'll never even be an issue. And that's what I think that story is really about. Personally, that's what I think it's about. Anyway, let's go ahead and have a look at Tri-Klops. Was Hook and the Pirate all ex-Lost Boys? That is a theory that I've seen a lot lately. And if you read the original book, Peter says that as the Lost Boys grow up, he takes care of them. You know, like they're not explicit about that. They don't specifically say he kills them, but maybe he kills them. I don't know. Peter Pan in the book is not exactly an altruistic character. So here's his weapon that he comes with, and unlike the Filmation cartoon collection, they often do come with their classic weapons. And here we have a very nice interpretation of Tri-Klops' sword. And we can see that it is very similar to that original sword. I've got not the original sword, but the version of it that came with Reptilax recently, so we can compare. It's at least based on the original sculpt. And you can see it's a little more pointier, a little more dangerous, not quite as long, but it compensates for that by being pointier and more dangerous. So, Tri-Klops, yeah, exactly. Anthony Jameson says, I wanted to be He-Man back when I was growing up in 1984. Hell yeah, who wouldn't? But yeah, like, I want to say that the original, I could be wrong, I want to say the original Tri-Klops sword did have these 3 dots on it. And this one just has 1 dot that's got kind of like a little crescent shape around it. But I like the 3 dots because he's Tri-Klops. These kind of are representative of his 3 eyes. And it's got the handguard on there, which on the original Tri-Klops sword, I've never been sure if that's supposed to be literally a handguard or just something to help keep the sword from falling out of the character's hand. But this one, it looks like the handguard is supposed to be a literal thing. And he does have a held aloft hand. So let's talk about his articulation. Tri-Klops can look up about that far, look down about that far, tilt his hand kind of quizzically from side to side, rotate the head all the way around. Of course, the arms rotate all the way around the shoulders, but they're going to kind of bump into his armor a little bit because he's got those shoulder plates. That's to be expected. His arms can raise up to the side about that far. Tri-Klops can rotate all the way around at the waist. This is an Origins figure, so he can also come apart. Arms can come off, the head can come off, he can split apart at the waist, and the boots the boots come off. So that's the parts that are supposed to be removable. Trust me, you can take a lot of other parts off too if you want to, but it's just going to take a little bit of extra work. And I don't advise it for any smaller kids in the audience that might be watching for some reason, even though this is not a kid's cartoon. So and then he's got the gladiator kilt. We're going to talk more about that in a little bit because I got some things to say about that. Tri-Klops can do the splits no problem. He can kick up about that far, which is not all that far, but these figures are kind of muscle bound and a little bit further than they usually can. I think that these are more like standard Masters of the Universe thighs than the cartoon the cartoon collection of thighs I've seen so far. I think I might be wrong about that. Nope. They look like they were maybe a little thicker, but they're not. They're the same as He-Man's. Except for one thing, is these knee pads. And these knee pads are just kind of adhering to his knees in some kind of mysterious fashion that I can't quite understand. Al Davis says, so, Tri-Klops. Yeah, it's easier you see how easy it is for me to get off a track. Anthony Jameson says, I want Dolph in London to play He-Man again. Dolph Lundgren. Okay. I'm guessing your autocorrect was having some fun with you. Yeah, Dolph Lundgren. I heard a rumor Dolph Lundgren was going to have a cameo in the new movie. And the rumor I heard was he was going to play King Grayskull. I don't know how true that is, but it's a rumor that I have heard. So, Tri-Klops has a boot cut. The boot rotates all. Did I talk about the knee articulation? Yeah, the knee bends about that far, and then that rotates all the way around at a bit of an angle, but it still rotates all the way around. He's got a boot cut. So the boot rotates all the way around. His foot can point down about that far, point up about that far, and then that rotates all the way around where the foot meets the ankle. So that is the articulation on Tri-Klops. So the original Anthony Jameson says, sorry, I stutter sometimes. I stutter when I type too. I am a horrible typist. So let's see over here if I have. Well, no, I got a bag of stuff here. And here I have. This is not exactly the vintage Tri-Klops figure. And it is not exactly an Origins Tri-Klops figure either. This is one of the first customs that I ever made of any character in Masters of the Universe Origins, and I made Tri-Klops. I made Tri-Klops because I really wanted to have a Tri-Klops figure, and I was really sure they were going to make a Tri-Klops, but I wanted one right then. So I'm like, I don't want to wait. I'm going to make one right now. And I went on to eBay and I got a broken vintage Tri-Klops head, and I kind of hollowed it out and I stuck it on the body. And I had the armor from the commemorative edition that I just kind of slapped on there, and then just painted the He-Man figure to match as far as the trunks go. And of course, the belt and the bracers were already the same color. Now, the main difference between my custom is that he does not have the furry He-Man boots. He just has kind of black wrestling boots that came with the Rock. But hey, they were black boots and it worked. And the reason I wanted to get this out is because I wanted to talk a little bit about some of the differences between the 2000X design of Tri-Klops and the vintage one. Anthony Jameson says, I still want him to play He-Man again. I think he's still at the right age to play He-Man. Well, he certainly could play He-Man. Like, you could do like a story with an older He-Man. I don't see why you couldn't do that. So that would be something that would be really cool to see. And hey, they've already established that Masters of the Universe has a multiverse aspect to it. So why couldn't you could even do something where, like, Nicholas Galatzine's He-Man meets Dolph Lundgren's He-Man or something like that. What if you put like the New Adventures He-Man outfit? Better yet, if I was going to have Dolph Lundgren play He-Man again, it would be King He-Man. It would be in the classics, the King He-Man outfit with the blue cape, and he have the beard and all that. He would look really cool. Joe Prime says, what's up, all? Just stumbled onto the feed. These Motu guys are crazy cool. Aren't they, though? Al Davis says there's still talk of King Conan. Hey, as long as Arnold Schwarzenegger is alive, I'm going to hold out hope that we're going to see that. So, when the Four Horsemen redesigned Tri-Klops, they had a few different ideas. So obviously the original Tri-Klops figure was built off of the base of He-Man. They just gave him a new head and new armor. And other than that, he had the same shorts. And if this was the original Tri-Klops, he'd have the same boots. So, and he's still got those furry He-Man type boots, even though it's got some armor on there. 2000X, they did not want to do the thing where they were just reusing the same body ad nauseum. They definitely wanted to have newer designs for these characters. They wanted to have unique figures, and Tri-Klops is no exception. So instead of the He-Man type loincloth, you see he had this gladiator kilt, which had kind of a samurai kind of aesthetic to it. I kind of feel like they were going for a slightly samurai look with this guy. And you can see his skin color even isn't quite the same color as He-Man's skin color. It's almost like they were trying to give him a more Asian look. And we'll talk more about this in the next episode when I open up the movie Tri-Klops. But you can see they cast a black actor to play Tri-Klops in this movie. And I don't have a problem with that. I don't want anybody to think that I have a problem with that. Bong Donkey is here. Bong Donkey says hello. I don't want anybody to think that I have a problem with that. I do not. But I did think it was kind of funny that, like, I kind of felt like he was kind of coded Asian in the 2000X version. So they kind of already race swapped him. So I don't know what, you could argue he was supposed to be Asian or Hispanic or whatever in this one, not necessarily a white guy in the vintage version. But I kind of felt like they'd already turned him into an Asian guy on the 2000X cartoon. And now they turned him into a black. So Tri-Klops has just kind of been entering everything. It would make sense if Tri-Klops, he Tri-Klops, tri-ethnicities, I guess. I don't know. Anthony Jameson says, I still miss the punching features on the vintage He-Man figures. I wish they would do that for Origins. Yeah, I guess they figured that the gimmick where it comes apart, that was probably more important they sacrificed a lot of various gimmicks in the figures for that. But I think they could have worked in a spring-loaded punching feature, honestly. I think it probably could have worked even with the joints. So underneath the Gladiator kilt, if you want to have, for whatever reason, a Tri-Klops, a 2000X Tri-Klops with the furry shorts, he does indeed have furry shorts underneath. So that's worth pointing out. And then take the head off, and we can take this armor off. And it looks like it's just got a little tab at the back here, and that's why we get that off. So we pull the belt portion of it off and then pull it off over the head. And he's got the same 2000X torso that He-Man had. So ironic that when they actually made when the Four Horsemen actually designed their 2000X Tri-Klops, they were trying to make it so it wasn't reusing a bunch of pieces, and then they wind up making this design into an Origins figure where it reuses a bunch of pieces. Ironic. Anyway, let's go ahead and get them put back together now. So, and if I had the 2000X Tri-Klops figure to compare, we'd see that he would be a little more detailed than this version, because, again, this is supposed to be as he appeared on the cartoon series, and they kind of simplified his look a little bit for the animation, obviously, like you do. But yeah, and there was a lot of love going back to those Four Horsemen designs for the cross-cell artwork, which I'm a big fan of, so I definitely approved of that. But Tri-Klops, I kind of feel like they took a little more liberties with him than they did with some of the other characters. Like, he was definitely supposed to be a cybernetic character. Like, the original Tri-Klops obviously had this visor thing over his head with these three eyes. And you see that you have the red eye, and then you have the really angry all red eye, and then you have the kind of the calm blue eye. And like, I know that like when I was a kid, I kind of figured this was like this was his eye that could see far distances and see through objects and stuff like that. And this one was like his infrared eye, so he could see in the dark. And then this one here was his laser eye, and he could shoot a laser bolt out of that, like Cyclops or something. Al Davis says, I hope they use an AI version of Barry White for Orko's voice, or Snoop Dogg would be awesome too. Get James Earl Jones in there to be Orko. I'll encase him in a bubble. Oh, and we should go ahead and put a sword in his hand, because he's got that held aloft sword hand. But you guys can correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. But this is how I remember the 2000X figure being, is I remember him having like a fully bionic neck. And this one obviously just has like regular fleshy neck, but he does still have the tubes attached to his armor there. But yeah, like to me, this didn't necessarily need to be like a mechanical thing here. It could have been like mystical. And in fact, I was probably more thinking of it as being mystical. They never explained if it was mechanical or magical or what have you. So I had no way of knowing. But in this one, it's pretty unambiguously that this dude has bionic parts. And in the Classics version, I don't think it's the case with this version. Yeah, he's just kind of got a solid black piece there. But in the Classics version, if you peeked up under that visor, you could see where like there was wires leading into his eye sockets and things like that. It's crazy. So, and in the 2000X version of Tri-Klops, sorry, he was also kind of more like a tech gadget guy, and that was his function on Skeletor's team. He never was that in the original version. I always just kind of thought of him more like an assassin for hire, and he wasn't really like loyal to Skeletor per se. He was just the guy that Skeletor would sometimes hire to do jobs. Little Boba Fett there, I guess. But I really liked how the 2000X had that kind of samurai aesthetic to him. I thought that was something that was really cool and made him a little more unique. And that carries over to this version of the figure. I really like this design of Tri-Klops. And by the way, I forgot to mention this during our articulation. He does have the visor that swaps around. So he's got a blue eye, and he's got a yellow eye, and he's got a light blue eye. Or I'm sorry, a green eye. Sorry, it looked light blue in this light, but I see it in the monitor light and it's green. So personally, I would have instead of this yellow eye, orange eye, however you want to call it, I would have gone with red, because red, green, and blue, those are the primary colors of light. So that's how I would have done that. Anyway, this is a great figure, and I'm really glad that I picked him up. And he was definitely worth picking up for that sale price on Amazon. And like I said, these have finally started to pop up at Walmarts in my area. So they might be at Walmart in your area too, if you want to check that out. Anthony Jameson says, I would still love if Lou Scheimer was alive right now. Yeah, you and me both. I want him to be Co again, I want to be Orko again in the new Masters of the Universe movie. Yeah, that would have been cool. You know, like I would personally, I wish Lou could see what was, and maybe he can, you know, out there in the cosmos, up there in animation heaven. But he should be proud of the legacy he's left behind. This new movie wouldn't be happening if not for, you know, He-Man was really popular, like I said, even before the cartoon came out. But I think the cartoon is what really knocked it into the stratosphere and made it into a phenomenon. You know, like I said, you know, there's some people that still consider that the greatest of them all. Al Davis says heat eye, cold eye, and normal eye, the only one that blinks. Al Davis says it'd be a bit gross, wet, and slimy if it was a biological thing. Well, you know, gross, wet, and slimy, it would not be the first time we had that in Masters of the Universe, nor would it be the last. Bong Donkey asks if are you on the East Coast? Just curious. Your accent seems East Coast. Yes, I am on the East Coast. I am on the eastern part of the United States. So Kyrus is here and says, I just got a Star Wars Ned B droid for $13, Black Series. Well, congratulations on the find. Glad you got something really cool. I don't know if you were here for the beginning of the episode, but I found something really cool today also, because I found the Chronicles movie version of Tri-Klops. And I was already planning on opening the cartoon collection Tri-Klops. So that works out just fine, you know, because now I can open him tomorrow and I'll have the cartoon collection one to compare it with. And I definitely want to do that, because I kind of feel like that definitely the cartoon collection version of Tri-Klops borrows very heavily from the 2000X design. Kyrus says that he's from New York, from Queens. Well, you're in good company, because the ever amazing Spider-Man himself, Peter Parker, he's from Queens. So, and the Ramones, and Run DMC. So yeah, there's a lot of cool people from Queens. Kyrus says, cool t-shirt. I like Stormtroopers. Yeah, thank you. My mother, my sister got me this for Christmas one year, so that's where that shirt came from. And Anthony Jameson says the Joker would make a good Godzilla. You know, they almost did. It got so far as a script. And this is, to me, like one of the craziest things that never happened, and I wish I had. They almost did in the 1960s a crossover movie between the Adam West version of Batman and Godzilla. And how crazy would that have been? So maybe in that one, the Joker could have Jokerized Godzilla. That would be the worst of the Eldritch abominations. A Jokerized Godzilla. I can't imagine anything more terrifying. Kyrus says that Peter Parker is 4 train stations away. The 7 train. Yeah, see? And he grew up there. So yeah. Anyway, I think that's about it for this episode. Tri-Klops is a very cool figure, and you should pick him up if you haven't already. This reminds me that there's also the cartoon collection version of the Filmation Tri-Klops that I don't have, and I still haven't managed to get a regular Origins version of Tri-Klops. I was so excited to make my own custom, and then the one that they actually made was really hard to find, and I never saw him. And they re-released him again, and he's fairly affordable on Big Bad Toy Store right now. So maybe I should go ahead and get the regular Origins Tri-Klops, even though I kind of feel like my custom is really cool. And I don't want to toot my own horn, but I don't see how they could make one better than this one. You know what? I think I did. I think that this was a belt that I made I think that these were actually Skeletor trunks, and that I painted the belt. I was thinking they were He-Man trunks, and I just painted the trunks and left the belt that color. But now that I think about it, I think I used Skeletor trunks and painted the belt, even though it would have made a lot more sense for me to do it the other way around, because then I wouldn't have had to match the paint exactly. I don't know why I did it that way. Oh, well, whatever. Al Davis says, cheers, Alan, everyone in the chat. Peace and love. Peace and love to yourself. You have a go. Amiga Cammy's here right at the tail end. Right at the tail end. Oh, I'm so sorry. Says that the movie Origins Tri-Klops is the best to me. Wait until you get them. Well, you missed at the beginning of the episode. I do have them. Found them at Walmart today. And I was really excited because, like I said, I was already planning on opening this guy up for this episode. So then I thought it would be perfect on the next episode if we open up this one. Oh, no, you said the Origins, the movie Origins. Yeah, I don't have him yet. I need to get him. But I do have the Chronicles one, so we're going to open him up. Yeah, sorry. I got a little excited, and it was sometimes I don't read so good because I got like a little bit of dyslexia, so it kind of sometimes my brain works a little too fast, I think is what it is. So, but yeah, I definitely want to get that Origins and Man-at-Arms. They got him coming out too. And Tila, I was surprised they were doing Tila, but they're doing Tila, so I need to get her. Yeah, the Chronicles one looks really cool. I'll be opening him up tomorrow. So if you want to make sure you don't miss that episode, make sure that you like and subscribe and all the other YouTube stuff down below. Leave a comment and let me know what you think about Tri-Klops, not just the 2000X Cartoon Collection version, but really any version of Tri-Klops, and like what version of the character works best for you. Personally, I always still think about the mini comic version of Tri-Klops as he was in that first mini comic, Terror of Tri-Klops. I really liked his personality in that. Like I said, that sort of like hired mercenary kind of character. That's how he always exists in my brain. I did kind of like that they made him a little bit more of a tech guy in the 2000X, because it was something that was like a little more unique to him as far as setting him apart from the other evil warriors. Although personally, if I was going to make a tech guy, I probably would have made Trapjaw, since he literally is a tech guy. But but Trapjaw also is supposed to be kind of stupid. But maybe it'd be one of those things where like he's stupid as far as most stuff goes, but he's just very technically proficient. I don't know. It could go either way. I would think that if you're a dude who's got as many mechanical parts as Tri-Klops, you'd probably want to be able to maintain them, is all I'm saying. But I really like this figure. They did a great job with this figure. Next episode, we're going to open up another Tri-Klops, because we're going to open up the movie Chronicles figure. And then I figure I'll open up another one of these 2000X figures. And I know I got more DC stuff to open up, because I have the Melissa Benoist Supergirl, and I have the I just got today finally arrived from Entertainment Earth, since my three figures got broken up into three different packages, and the last one I got Vigilante first, then I got Black Canary, and today I finally got the Silver Age Supergirl. So we got her on the way. Bong Donkey says Trapjaw is cool. Yes, he is. Anthony Jameson says I like the mini comic version of Tri-Klops better. I agree. And Kyra says Trapjaw is one of my favorite characters. Well, yeah, he's definitely one of the best villains. Bong Donkey says nice. Al Davis says liking the depiction of him in the new film. Yeah. Like I'm not sure if you're talking about Trapjaw or Tri-Klops, but they both look great. But Trapjaw especially looks awesome in the new movie, I think. I don't think they could have possibly done a better job with Trapjaw. There's one thing about Tri-Klops, in the new movie that I think could be better. And I will talk more about that in the next episode. But I'll give you a hint about it right now. I'll give you a hint about it right now. You can see it glistening at you. So anyway, that's it for this episode. Hope you enjoyed it. We will talk to you next time. Bye.